Hi, these comments are for Luis, and this is Michael, and I'm going to give you some pronunciation feedback today based on the lesson you're working on right now. In my online course, A 7-Step System to Pass a TOEFL IBT, and I am Michael from BetterTOEFLScores.com. So let's get started. Okay, so we can do this. This is this is the actual lesson that you're focusing on right now. I think you said it was lesson 19. You're focusing on the P and the B consonant sounds. And this is actually your recording right here. So let's get started. So we got almost 6 minutes of practice. I'm going to give you feedback on every single exercise that you've done. And the reason that you're working on this is you're improving your delivery. On the speaking part of the TOEFL exam, you have some pronunciation problems. I think initially your speaking score was 17. However, I'm confident that it's much higher than that. So you want to continue to work on your intelligibility so that you can speak more clearly, not only for the TOEFL, but also for professional, academic, and personal purposes. Okay, here we go. Okay. Instead of saying I will send you, I would say I am sending you right now. I would use the present progressive to explain what you're doing. You can say I am sending you right now speaking practice, or this is my speaking and pronunciation practice for today. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, with the B, when the B's at the end, because it's a voiceless consonant, the vowel will be a little bit longer. So you'll say something like flap, flab. Notice how I carry out that sound a little longer. Pace, pace, bass. That was fine. Maybe you can pronounce the P with a little bit more air. Okay, let's keep going. No, not very clear on that one. Lap, lab. Cap, cab. So the biggest trouble you're having is when that B's at the end of the word. And not six, but six. Six. It's power, bower. Good. Good. I can understand that. So it's when the B's at the end, that's your biggest problem. I can tell you that through this exercise. Good. Pit, bit. Pit, bit. So if I say these words, number one, planet, banet. Pace, base. Flap, flab. Lap, lab. Cap, cab. Power, bower. Pride, bride. Pay, bay. Dap, dab. Pit, bit. Okay, let's hear you do the next part. Okay, okay. Let's see how you do on these. Okay, good. Swab. You got to get that final B sound there. Good. It's more predators, predators, predators. Good. Good. Perfect. All right. It's not penetrated, just penetrate. There's no ed on the end there. Penetrate, penetrate. And pox, pox, box, pox, box. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I think overall you're getting the target sounds there, and you're pronouncing the B and the P distinctly and separately. So that's good. Okay. You could probably read a little bit faster. I will show you how to do that in just a minute. Good. And that word is more cultures, the cultures of which. So what you can remember here is this TU sound. The TU sound typically equals a CH. So that TU spelling. Notice cultures, cultures. You can remember that. So they're in Europe demonstrated. Okay. And you can say they're muscles. Muscles, I think, is the best way to pronounce that. Okay, so when you're looking at these kinds of sounds, I'm going to show you a couple of things. So what you can do here, I think that your thought groups need to be a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, and you'll have fewer pauses in that way. So let me show you a couple of things. So when I'm looking at sentence number one, obviously we have a pause after each of the commas, right? And the tone's going to go up at each of these items. When you get to the last one, the tone's going to go down. So then when you read it, you'll say something like this. The pain can be a shooting pain, a burning pain, or even an extremely piercing pain. And then your tone's going to drop when you get to the end of the container. And I'm going to put a pause right here. put a pause in the second sentence here. And then again, the tone's going to go up at the end of each thought group and it drops at the end. A time capsule is a container that is filled with objects that show important things about the way people live in a certain time and place. Number 3, right before that prepositional phrase, you see that? And I think we'll have a pause. We'll get to the end and we'll drop our tone there. So if I look at sentence 3, insulin has already been made by incorporating genetic material into bacteria, the cultures of which have become synthesizers of insulin. Synthesizers, I didn't get my tongue in between my teeth, have become synthesizers of insulin. Notice how in number 4, that thought group right before the noun clause, right, tone goes up. Laboratory researchers in Europe demonstrated that gray parrots could learn the kinds of symbolic and conceptual tasks that are generally considered as pre or co-requisites for complex cognitive and communicative skills. You see how we did that? So you group things into grammatical units. Laboratory researchers in Europe demonstrated that gray parrots could learn the kinds of symbolic and conceptual tasks that are generally considered as pre or co-requisites for complex cognitive and communicative skills. Then the last one, vampire bats can move side to side and backward, similar to a spider. Instead of taking off in flight from the ground, notice the pause, tone goes up. These bats actually launch themselves into the air, pause, tone goes up, with powerful pectoral muscles. So pausing after the thought groups and varying your tone after each thought group and then having your tone fall at the very end of the sentence, that's how you create what we call good pacing, right? And also varied intonation. So let's look at 5 again one more time. Vampire bats can move side to side and backwards, similar to a spider. Instead of taking off in flight from the ground, these bats actually launch themselves into the air with powerful pectoral muscles. Okay, there we go. Now let's get back. I think you have one more thing you're going to do here. Okay, let's hear you do on this. The paragraph, you need to pronounce that P with more aspiration. You'll read a paragraph aloud. Good. You need a little bit better pause after this sentence. It is suggested that you read the paragraph silently for meaning. Then you will make a digital recording. I would pause here. Make sure that you speak directly into your microphone. So you want to pause right before that noun clause there. That would be good pacing. Make sure that you speak directly into your microphone so that you can get a clear recording of your pronunciation. Okay? Okay? Yeah, and I think you could probably vary your tone a little bit more here. So after you finish, compare your recording to a sample native speaker recording. That was good pacing. You could probably go a little faster, but I liked where you did your pauses. I think that was good. Yeah, you'd say entering the world of business, industry, and organizations. Just make sure you get only 2 syllables there. It provides valuable insights, and pronounce that V with more V, valuable insights. Yes, good job on that intonation with items in a series. You're kind of putting your tone up slightly after each item. That was very nice. Yeah, operate, not operated. So for some reason, when those verbs end in ate, you seem to want to put an additional syllable there, so it sounds like you're putting a D at the end where there's not one. It's operate or operated. So be careful of what's called syllable division and grammatical word endings, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to model this particular reading passage right now. So pay attention as I read it to the pronunciation of the P and the B sounds. And to give you some final feedback on that, the main thing with this particular lesson, Luis, is you're more or less forming, I think, the P and the B correctly, but there's two issues. The P, especially when the P is in the beginning of the word, you need to aspirate it with more air. So you're not putting enough air out when you say that sound. The second thing is when the B is at the end of the word, you tend not to pronounce that word clearly. You don't pronounce that final B sound at the end of the word. Those are the two areas that you can improve on. Okay, let me read the paragraph. A degree in sociology is an excellent springboard for entering the world of business, industry, and organizations. The sociological perspective is crucial for working in today's multi-ethnic and multinational business environment. An undergraduate sociology major provides valuable insights into social factors such as race, ethnicity, gender, age, education, and social class that affect work and how organizations operate. That's how I would read that. All right, so thank you very much for completing that particular pronunciation exercise. I think overall you are making progress, and through both your pronunciation and the speaking practice that you've been sending me, I know that your initial TOEFL score right now is around, I think you said 17 to 18 points out of 30. I believe right now you're probably closer to 22 and 23 points out of 30. I think that's where you are right now. Now, I think you also want to get a higher score like 26 or higher. So it's going to take some time to get you where you want to be. But your first step, as you always have been doing, is you're completing your pronunciation and speaking practice on a daily basis. That's exactly what you want to be doing.